Yes, morning everyone. Yes, so today we are going to discuss. We are going to continue the same problem we had did it in the previous class. So can anyone just tell me what was the last problem solved in our previous? I think the second problem on independent flute is over, and we are supposed to start with the third problem. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So the second problem is complete, is it right? Any activities are pending for which we are supposed to calculate independent float?
No,
It's
sir.
completed.
Okay. So in that case, can you just tell me one of the problem in which we have in which we have the following columns? So one activity is duration. This is just a practice problem, but duration and early start, early finish, and late finish. Correct. So these are the different parameters. Now, in any of the problem, do we find these columns, or have we solved for early start, early finish, late start, and late? Why I'm asking is because we need to solve one more problem that should be considered as a practice problem.
One dash two.
Just a minute. Tell me, how many activities are there?
6.
Fine. 1-2.
2 dash 3.
Okay.
3 dash 5. 2 dash 4. 4 dash 5. 2 dash 5.
Okay. These are the
14.
duration is first activity. Duration is 14. Next.
7. 20. 4. 15. 12.
Okay. Next.
0. 14.
Okay.
21. 14. 18. 14.
Early finish.
14.
Okay.
21. 41. 18. 33. 26. 14. 21. 41. 26. 41. 41.
Okay. So considering that this is the problem statement, now this is some problem which we have already we have completed this problem in our previous class. So for this problem, we are supposed to calculate independent.
Attendance left లో కనిపి- ఆ?
So these are some of the calculate the independent float. So we are supposed to calculate the independent float. Independent float for each of the activities. So basically, we have to determine the independent float for each of these activities. Okay. So these are the list of activities. So just make note of all these. Okay, so those who have already completed noting down this particular problem, just try to solve the independent float for the first activity, 1 dash. Okay, so independent float for one dash. So we have to determine the independent float for. We have to first identify the previous and the next activity. 1 dash. What is the previous activity for 1 dash 2? The previous activity for 1 dash.
So for this problem, we have calculated independent floats.
This is already done.
Yeah, for this problem, it is done.
No,
Yesterday.
no, I think then we have to. In that case, we have to have some other problem for which we have not calculated independent. Why? Because where one practice problem is done in this particular topic. So this independent float calculation is already done. Is it right? So in that
Yes.
case, calculation is already done. Okay. Is there any problem, any other problem for which we have not calculated the independent? any problem in which problem for which we have the list of activities early start, early finish, late start and late finish, but independent float is not.
There is no other problem, sir.
No other problems are solved.
No, sir.
Let me just check if I have any problem notation. Okay, so I have a list of activities. Calculate the independent float of this list of activities. This is the question statement. Activity duration, early start, early finish, and late finish. So these are the list of. We'll just list the activities. First, we have 1-2, 1-3, that 5, and last activity, that is. This is not the complete list of activities, but because 2-5 and so on and so forth activities are still pending, but that those are not listed here. So the question is, we have to determine independent float. Determine the independent float for each of these activities. Okay. So just make note of all this problem, all these activities. Then start calculating the independent float. Is it done? Is it done? I will go to the next screen. Yes. So I will go to the next screen. Solution. First is independent float for activity 1. So is there any previous activity for 1 dash? Any previous activity for 1 dash 2 activity? Any activity that is appearing before 1 dash?
No.
There is no previous.
No, sir.
No previous activity before dash. Right. So what should be the early late finish for this activity? In that case,
0.
late finish is 0. Correct. Late finish equal to 0. That's right. Similar. What is the duration of 1 dash?
2.
Is equal to 2 days. Correct. That's right. Next, what is the next activity after 1 dash?
2 dash 5.
Dash 5. 2 dash 5. So the next activity 2 dash 5. And what is the early start?
2.
2 days itself. Is it right? Okay. So in which case, what will be the independent float for 1 dash 2 activity? What will be the independent float of 1 dash 2 activity? What previous independent float for 1 dash 2? So independent float for 1 dash 2 is equal to early start. What should be the equation here?
Early start of next activity.
Start of next activity. Correct. That is 2 dash 3. That's right. Minus
2 dash 5.
2 dash 5. Correct. Okay. Minus
Late finish of previous activity.
late finish previous activity. Minus
Duration of present activity.
duration of present, right? And which is the one dash. That is 2 minus 2. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So next is we will see what is the independent float for the next activity. Independent float for activity. Which is the next activity?
1-3.
So can you determine? Yes.
Can you please go to the last slide?
Okay. So explanation is not required, is it right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those who have completed this, just calculate 1-3 independent float for 1 dash.
So done, sir.
Okay. Okay. Others, I hope others also have made note of this. Going ahead. Okay. Next activity. What will be the previous activity of 1-3? Any activity before 1-3? Any activity?
No, sir.
Yeah, no, it was not audible.
There is no previous activity.
Okay. After 1-3, which activity appears?
3-5.
3 dash. 1-3, present activity duration. What is the present activity duration?
7.
Okay. And the previous activity,
0.
previous activity, there is no previous activity. Correct. Previous activity. That is the reason late finish of this activity is equal to 0. Therefore, late finish of this activity is equal to 0. Next, we have the next activity. What is the early start?
7.
Early start is 7. So that is the reason. What will be the independent float for this activity?
0.
Correct. Independent float one dash 3 is equal to 7 minus 7 or 7 minus 0 minus 7. That should have been correct. Or 7 minus 0 minus 7. Answer should be equal to 0. Correct. This is 1-. Okay, shall I go for the next slide? So once this is done, is the calculation done? Previous screen.
Yes, sir.
The next is independent float of 1 dash. So just calculate this and tell me the answer. For 1 dash 4, I think yes, this I will solve it. So there is no next activity and the previous activity for this. So you will only find 1 dash 4. There is no next activity. Is it right? No next activity and no previous activity. So if there is no previous activity, then what should be the date finish?
0.
Date finish will be equal to 0. What is the duration? 1 dash
8.
duration of the present activity is equal to 8. There is no next activity. So what is the in this case what we are supposed to do? Any answers? There is no next activity, but we are supposed to determine the early start for the next by when it can start. What is the early start for the next activity? There are no next activity. How are we supposed to determine the early start for the next activity? So any answers? When there is no next activity, how to determine the early start? Early start is equal to early finish of early finish of which activity? Early finish of 1 dash 4. So what is the early start here? Since there is no activity after 4, starting from the 4th, but we have to see that the activity uh, actually finishes. What is the early finish? What is the earliest possible duration by when all the activities finishes on the 4th? That we are supposed to study. Okay. If you have to see the early finish for the activity 1 dash 4 is what is the early finish for 1 dash 4?
8.
8 is the early finish. In that case, early start also equal to 8. That means what? Earliest possible duration by when we can finish 1 dash 4th activity is 8th day. Earliest possible duration. This is earliest possible duration by when the project manager will be able to finish this activity, 8th day. This activity cannot finish before this duration, that is 8th day. Okay, that is the reason if there is any activity after the 4th node, starting from the 4th node, it has to start only after only after the 8th day or on the 8th day. Correct? Not before that. Correct? Is the concept clear? So that is the reason early finish for the early start for the next activity is equal to 8. Anyone wants me to write the dictate the notes for this? How to consider the early start for the next activity?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So just make note of and next we will write the notes for this particular topic. Okay. Is this done? I go for the next screen. Uh, Possible duration. When project manager can finish 1-3 is equal to early finish is equal to 8. Now, before 8th day, the project manager cannot select T. Project manager cannot finish this set. Project manager cannot finish activity. Therefore, early start or early possible duration early start or early possible duration by when we can early start or early possible duration. Any doubts here? Early possible duration by which can start the next activity. The next activity is equal to early finish date. Early finish rate of 1 dash 4 is equal to 8. Okay, so that is the reason early start of the activity is equal to 8. Any doubts? Anyone wants any points which is being missing here? Any other explanation required? Any of- So in this case, what will be the independent float?
Zero.
Correct. So therefore, independent float for independent activity 1 dash 4 is equal to 8 minus. What is the duration? No, not the duration. What is the late finish for the previous activity?
Zero.
0. Is 0. Anyone who has not understood this? Okay, next comes 2 dash 5 activity. I'm going to the next calculation. Independent float for 2 dash 5. So what is the independent float for 2 dash 5? What is the previous activity for 1 dash or 2 dash 5?
1 dash 2.
1 dash 2. Afterwards comes 2 dash 5. So there are no activities after 2 dash 5, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the late finish for 1 dash 2?
11.
This is the previous activity. Late finish is equal to late finish is 11. And duration is how much?
3.
Duration present activity is equal to. Now, how do we determine the early start for the next activity? how do we determine the early start for the next activity? How many activities finished on the 5th?
Early finish of 2-5 or 3-5.
2-5 or 3-5. That's right. And finally, we are considering only one early finish. So, which is that value? So, what are the early finish?
2-15.
Which is early? What is the early finish of 2-5?
15.
Early finish of 2-5.
15. 2-5.
2-5 early finish is 5, I guess.
5.
5. And 3-5 early finish is
13.
we have to consider the one that is 5 or 13. Which value we are going to consider as an early start?
Thirteen.
13 has to be considered. That's right. Determining the early start for the next activity. Okay, so we'll just stop at this particular point. Possibly, I wanted to discuss some other things. Stop at this particular point. Yes, so this is about the group assignment, the group project. In our previous class, I had mentioned it will be a group that will be assigned to it. What we are supposed to do, the group assignment. Each group has to each group. This description is there in the lesson plan. You can just download that lesson plan from our LMS. You can see that. Now I'm just writing it just to see that everything is clear as to what each group is supposed to do in the project. Each group is supposed to select project topic. Project means what? It is a list of activities, right? So they are supposed to select a project topic in a particular industry. Now this can be example construction, building, construction. This can be one of the projects that team can select. Okay. Next, once the project is selected, once the project topic is selected, okay, prepare the list of activities. Okay, so this each of the group has to do it. Example, it can be purchase of raw materials, or hiring of employees, so on. Okay. Once the list of activities is ready, name each of the activities. Okay. Name each of the activities. So all these things are there in the lesson plan. Okay. So next is allot or assume durations for each of these activities. Okay. So that means 7 days for activity 1 dash 2, etc. Correct. So you can assume any duration for each of these activities of your own. So once this is done, correct, construct the project network diagram. Construct the project network diagram using MS Word. Okay, so you're supposed to develop the project network using MS Word. Okay, and afterwards determine the project completion duration. Project completion. Okay. Early start. Early finish. Late start and late finish. Okay, as well as floats. So all the floats are determined, and the critical path and critical activities have to be indicated. Okay, so all these things have to be done by each of the group, and it has to be submitted towards the end of the semester. Okay, so I will let you know when it has to be done. But for now, also Gantt chart has to be developed. So what is this Gantt chart? We will see in our next class. Now, for now, each group has to finalize the project topics. Am I clear in what I'm saying? Now each of the group has to select one of the topic. Now this topic can be anything in your interested areas. It can be advertising, like for example, select the celebrities, advertising the product, or it can develop application, software application. Which, first step can be gathering requirements. Second step can be designing the software. Third one can be developing the features of the website. Fourth step can be developing the code for developing the program for each of the features. Once these features are developed, it goes for testing phase. And once the testing is being done, finally that particular software is implemented. So like this, you can select any of your interested area and project on, and you can list all these activities. Now you have to select a topic and submit it to the class CRs. So the class CRs,
Yes, sir.
yes. So just collect the project
Yes, sir.
topics from each of the group. Okay, and submit it to me on the set date. So what can be the last? So what can be the last date for submission of this particular project topic? Can it be 20th of June?
Yes, sir.
20th of June can it be? I think you have to only select the project topic and you have to submit it to the class years. That's it. 20th of June, is it fine for all group members?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
So yes, class years, just see that like what you did in the previous semester for research topic. So just collect all let us assume that two groups have given the same topic. Two groups have given the same topic, that is building construction as a topic. Then you just consider that particular group's topic which is submitted first. Okay. First preference will
Okay,
be
sir.
first preference will be given to those group which has submitted first. Okay. And ask the other group to refresh the topic. In case if there is any dispute still, if there is any dispute, you just inform me. Is it clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I will just put the same message in WhatsApp group. Okay, what is the deadline date for the class CRs to submit the list to me, as well as what is the deadline date for each of the group to submit their project topic to the class CR. So about, and also the description about the project, everything will be mentioned in the WhatsApp group. In another 5 more minutes, I will be putting it in the WhatsApp group. So just go through that, and if there is any query, we'll discuss it later. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So class CRs, just send me the list of.
Yes, sir.